Fishing like a local isn't just about catching fish. It's about connecting with the environment and the people who call it home. It's about hearing the stories and traditions that have been passed down for generations and sharing unforgettable moments with the people you meet along the way. Fishing like a local is having an experience that stays with you forever. And with Fishing Booker, you can experience it too, no matter where you are. Discover your next adventure on Fishing Booker.
This episode is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Michelob Ultra is perfect for more than just the summer heat this year, because not only is it refreshing and crisp with only 95 calories, but Ultra is also the official beer sponsor of Team USA at the Olympic Games Paris 2024. Celebrate every point, race, and moment with Team USA and Michelob Ultra for the Olympic Games Paris 2024. Stock up on Michelob Ultra and cheer on Team USA. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Join Justin Townsend and the Harvesting Nature crew as they explore the world of cooking wild fish and game while sharing recipes, tips, tricks, and lessons learned from their pursuit of wild food. We sure hope you ate before the show, 'cause you're gonna leave hungry. This is the Wild Fish and Game Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Harvesting Nature's Wild Fishing Game Podcast. You got your host here, Justin Townsend, and I'm joined by Adam, my great white, my brother from the Great White North. I'm gonna mess it up off the bat just to open us up, and then we have a very special guest today who I'll introduce here in just a moment. But first off, we'll kick it off. I'll just remind everybody, so summer into fall foraging season is kind of kicked off hardcore. I know in Adam's area of the woods, and sort of mine, my new area of the woods, lots of stuff around to go out and forage, especially mushrooms. So be sure to hit up our wild fungi blend over on the website. It's a great opportunity to get some good seasoning for your mushrooms and other forageables. And as far as updates for me, nothing crazy on my end. Still kind of getting settled in DC. Haven't had the opportunity to go out and explore yet, but it's on the books here coming up probably this weekend or next weekend. We're going to get out. I did have the opportunity to cook up some of my first local fish. Got some rock fish, also known as striped bass. Did a little, I guess, butterfly fillet on it and put it on the grill, and then we picked all the meat off for fish tacos. The guy at, I'll admit I bought it, but not caught it, not yet, but the guy at Whole Foods was super excited because he didn't have to fillet the fish, and I was like, I'll just take it whole. And he's like, what do you mean you'll take it whole? I was like, just the whole thing, man. He's like, I love you. You can come back anytime. So that was great. I don't know, Adam, what's going on with you?
I'm just into foraging now, so the summer berries are the raspberries are pretty much done. I'm getting into tons of blackberries now, which is really nice. So whenever I walk the dog, I'm just like, got a total stained fingers and face. And then I'm getting tons of lobster mushrooms and a little bit of chanterelle still. So now my lobster mushroom season's kicking off, so I've been eating those pretty much every day. And then my garden's been going bonkers too, which is nice. I got more cucumbers than I can handle, and tomatoes are coming in and everything. So yeah, it's all super exciting time of year. Except for the bugs. It's a pretty buggy time of year too. So yeah. I've been getting lots of bites. But yeah, everything's pretty good.
Cool, man. Sounds like fun. I was going to say, and I'll maybe bring this up a little bit later, but we were doing a bit of a walk here around one of the big parks, and there's this plant that's pretty widespread here in the South, and it kind of reminded me of my childhood growing up, and I was curious if either of you had it sort of in your area. Pokeweed? You guys ever heard of it?
I've heard a lot about it, but we don't get it up here, unfortunately. But I always wanted to mess around with it.
So we, growing up as a kid, it was everywhere in Oklahoma and the Southeast, even here in DC. I see it all over in like people's yards and stuff too. So it's essentially a poisonous plant. But we grew up, and the way we prepared it is you boiled it once. All the leaves, you picked the leaves. You tried to get them before the berries came in. You boiled it, drained the water, then boiled it again, drained the water, and then you could cook it. and we'd make poke salad. And then growing up, it was very popular to make like scrambled eggs and then add like the wilted greens in there and mix it up and put onions and stuff in it. And that was a pretty common like breakfast item. But I haven't really messed with it since I was a kid, and we were walking around here and I was like, holy smokes, it's pokeweed. And then I went to this long rant probably a couple times. My wife was like, all right, you've told us this already, about the importance of pokeweed in Southeast and Southern cuisine. So, but I think I'm going to play around with it a bit some more, get up some recipes for it. So should be excited for that.
I grew up in New Jersey there, Justin, and
Yeah.
I tell you, pokeweed was everywhere. It's even by me up in southeast Connecticut now on the border of Rhode Island there. I see it. Not as much, but I see it. I never knew it was edible. I would have never eaten it, and I tend to like wane away from the vegetables and stuff that you gotta like boil 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need. There's a lot of like easier stuff that I kind of tend to dance with, but we used to just mess around with the berries more. Not in a. I mean, they look delicious, but they also kind of look poisonous, right? It's like for folks that don't know what it looks like, it's like this long, clustery, grapey looking type. It looks tropical, almost like a blueberry and a Rona berry, and I think the berries are poisonous. We used to like juice them and like when we were kids and like paint with them and stuff.
Same, yeah. My grandparents used to just get on to me about it. Like, why are you doing that? I'd come in with like purple hands, and they're like, "What? Like, don't mess with that. It's poisonous." And I'm like, "But we eat it." So, yeah, I think
people eating it. That's is it good or is it just
yeah?
Yeah,
it's pretty good. I think I'm trying to recall like the exact sort of flavor profile. I would say like on par with spinach, maybe like a little better. I think probably the closest, like amaranth or callaloo, probably kind of similar flavor profiles to that. Just those are probably easier plants to handle, not as much boiling. So,
you live where up in the? Justin said the Great White North or some shit.
Yeah, so I split my time in between Ontario, just north of upstate New York there, and then Quebec, just on the other side of the river from Ottawa.
Oh, cool.
And Gatineau. So yeah, I think we're a little too far from poke, but I've always heard about it written in Southern cooking and soul food and all sorts of different cuisines down there. So I've always been interested to try it, but
I had no idea it was edible.
Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and introduce our guest here in just a moment. I'll say first thing that we're going to do a book giveaway sort of midway through the episode. So we're going to talk a little bit about spearfishing and whatever Brad's favorite species to spearfish is what we're going to use as the code word on social media as the giveaway to enter for a copy of his book. Which I'll explain here. So our guest today is a chef, hunter, angler, YouTube personality. He was born in the woods of rural New Jersey. The fields, forests, rivers, and shores of the Northeast have been his playground since he was a kid. He's known for his appearances on videos produced by Appétit for its YouTube channel, most notably as the host of It's Alive with Brad and its spin-off series It's Alive Going Places. In 2021, he published his cookbook, Field Notes for Food Adventures, and in 2023, he launched 2 new shows on his YouTube channel, Local Legends and Making It. Brad Leone, welcome to the Wild Fish and Game Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Could you sort of, for those that may not know you or familiar with you, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself? How did you get into the outdoors? How did you get into cooking? Like, where'd that intersection sort of happen?
Yeah, so growing up in New Jersey, I grew up in the northern part of New Jersey, up like kind of where the Delaware Water Gap meets New York. If you're looking, it's just like that point of the top of New Jersey there. Really pretty spot, very rural. And I guess I got into, for sure, with the outdoors through my dad, I'd say, right? He was I don't know, he was like someone, like if you like this, I were to just describe him and have you like guess, like, where's that guy from? You probably wouldn't say New Jersey. Like jean shorts, like beer can, like catching, snapping turtles and bullfrog, like cooking them, loves making etouffee, and like he sounds like he's from like Louisiana or Florida or some shit, you know? But yeah, like snapping turtle soup is a very like core memory of mine of like my dad like going to the farm, like these farms and these little like ponds and these little like farm canals, like irrigation canals, and pulling these like monster dinosaurs out, and then like purging them in the backyard in big tanks, and then like killing them and eating them, and they're like very good. And like, you know, I there's probably a handful of people in New Jersey that have ever done that. So like, you know what I mean? Like, but you go in other places, it's very, you know, it's much more common. But I learned, and then that's where I got introduced to just like traditional fishing and hunting and just the outdoors and the respect for it. I mean, he was a really big proponent of just like respect, you know, respecting the outdoors and the ocean, and having like a healthy fear and a respect is just like something that was kind of like instilled in me. And he was always very big on like, you kill what you eat what you kill. And that kind of, having kids now, I kind of like, I pass that down as well too. Because I think killing shit for no reason is not cool.
Yep.
But yeah, I got into the outdoors and stuff like that, living in New Jersey, and then get into cooking and stuff kind of the same way. I got a young age. Both my parents cooked and gardened. Always had a little vegetable garden, and just like, and we always ate dinner together. It was just like cooking and eating was like a, you know, there wasn't cell phones really back then, and you know, I'm almost 40 now. And like we didn't watch TV when we ate dinner, so it was like the importance, and you know, they didn't have a lot of money, and they bought what they could, but they cooked, and you know what I mean, and I guess that was, you know, that kind of, those things kind of bled into like what I basically kind of do for, you know, a part of my life now and living, which is you know, cooking and outdoor stuff, and being a dad, and yeah, and then the YouTube shows, which are kind of based basically around just that. So Local Legends is a show that is a travel show that just, you know, it focuses on people and their passions, whether it's someone who is a mushroom forager or a garlic farmer or a guitar builder, like whatever it is, and just kind of getting into their, you know, we're a crabber, or, you know, a coffee farm we've done, and just really just having it be as an adventure and educational, but also like a pretty good, like, you know, like flirting around with like just mini doc kind of style of videos where it's not, you know, it's not really like a short, it's a long format kind of character developing kind of, but it's fun. I think so. You know, we have some fun with it too. And then Making It is another show I have on my YouTube channel. Brad Leone, it's just called, and that one is the Making It show is more cooking, is basically a cooking show. But we bring it on the road a bunch, and it kind of sometimes can tie into the Local Legend thing. Like perfect example, buddy of mine down in Maryland, Luke McFadden. He's a crabber. You know, he's big on the social medias and stuff. Great kid, and he's a commercial crabber. We went down there, did a Local Legends video with him, and you know, showcase the crabbing and him and how he got into it, and, you know, why, and blah, blah, you know, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And instead of like cramming, because traditionally, you know, when I used to work at BA or working with other people, it would always be one video, and then you would do that whole character development, it'd be edited a bunch more, and then you'd cram a cooking episode in it too, you know, because people want to see that full thing and the inclusion of cooking. I split it up, and where we can do the Making It. So like after you watch the Local Legends, you kind of like tune in next week, you know, at Making It. We're going to make soft shell crab sandwich with the stuff that we just learned about and saw. So like, I like that kind of play. And then also just being able to do just fun stuff at the farm here. I built a little studio, kind of fun little spot over here on the coast, and good garden and stuff. And yeah, so we get to like kind of just make fun creations and record them. Built a little production company and team, and you know, we've been doing my own thing for about a year and a half now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I like the way that you laid out the show formats, because I feel too, and like we did some you know, back, was it last year or the year before, with the Sporting Chef on Outdoor Channel, and it's like we were trying to cram like so much. They're like, all right, you got like 2 to 3 minutes to do something, and I'm like, well, what can like what can you do in 2-3 minutes? Like, it's going to take us all day to film something, and it's going to get cut down. And like some of the good parts, like only the best parts going to make it, but there's still really good content. And sort of like doing an action or going out hunting or fishing, and then sort of following it up with cooking. I
mean, it's like a political debate, right? Like, what are you really talking about in 2 minutes? You know, so it's all just gets cut up, right? And we're just cool, and there's always going to be a market for short, fun stuff. But I like the idea of, like you're saying, kind of being able to slow it down a little bit, and yeah.
I think it catches the attention, people that want sort of the first part of it, like, oh, the adventure, sort of the docuseries type aspect of it, and then to be able to be like, all right, well, next week, you know, you're going to catch the grasp with like the people that are really into the cooking, that want to see, you know, like the really detailed stuff and hear about it and get more engrossed into that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it'd be a hell of a lot cheaper, and I'd probably get more views if I just made like 2-minute TikTok like things, right? But like, I don't know. I'm from the generation. I miss like good TV stuff and like ordained dirty jobs, and you know, I don't mind like waiting a little bit and then getting a 30-minute episode or something. And so far, it's been going great. I mean, we've been getting, people seem to like it. I like it, and been working with some really cool brands. There's a really awesome company called Deck. They're like a truck accessory draw system, and they've been working with me on the season 2 Local Legends, and just other brands I work with. You know, Yeti's been cool, and a pizza oven company called Gosney that I work with a bunch, and Traeger grills and stuff. And they've all just been, really awesome to work with, and allow me to do, these travel things, like go to Mexico and Ireland, and we're going up to Nova Scotia next month.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you been able to have any time to get out fishing this summer?
Yeah, man, not so much stream stuff. I did a little trout this spring just around here, mostly just with the kids, just like, just like little pellet head rainbows and browns and stuff. But a lot of saltwater, man. I got a nice little Grady White, and we're just really in a really awesome fishery out here, right in between like Block Island and Montauk, right where they kind of, as the crow fly, you can see them every day. And there's a really awesome reef structure that goes from Fisher's Island to Watch Hill, which is in Rhode Island. Fisher's Island is in New York. And again, this is not very, very far stuff, But from my understanding is like, well, you can see it. There's a little ridge, a reef that goes from, I think it used to be a land mass, but like millions of years ago, whatever, a mountain chain, whatever, kind of some glacier shit. And, but now it's underwater. So you have like some nice little deep water, big Long Island Sound, and river systems coming. So you have these nice tidal movements that all kind of hit these reefs from Watch Hill to Sugar Reef all the way out to Wickapissa and Fisher's Island there. And it holds bait, and the water rips through there, and the bluefish, the flatfish, the striped bass, or rockfish as you call them now down there, are awesome. I mean, the striped bass fishing is awesome.
Man, that's I'm trying to think. So, like, growing up in Oklahoma, I love the differences in names geographically. So, in Oklahoma, we had like we call them stripers or striped bass, but they're all freshwater and lakes. And then here you come, and it's like striped bass, and I'm like, oh wow, like very different names across the country. But even just learning too, like I was talking to the guy, like the label at the store was like striped bass, and he's like, oh yeah, you mean like rockfish? And I was like, yeah, like rockfish. I know also too, West Coast rockfish or something completely different. So
yeah, I mean, I think the rockfish thing is like, I never even heard it until I went to Maryland, Delaware. They were like, yeah, there's rockfish, and they're going rockfish, and I'm like, what do you mean rockfish? You talking like tog or like some type of like, what do you mean rockfish? And they go, oh, striped bass. I'm like, I've never, and then now I like hear it all the time. But down in like the Chesapeake area, I think they just call them rockfish.
Yeah. He gave me a sideways look when I was like striped bass. So I was like, all right, noted. If you want to fit in.
I mean, it's not really that much of a, like, it looks like a striped bass.
Yeah.
Stripes all over it. Like, I'm a striped bass guy. I'm never going to call it a rockfish.
So, as far as summertime recipes, anything you're like, you mentioned sort of getting out fishing, garden, all that, anything you're jiving on right now as far as summer recipes?
Yeah, well, I'm not a huge recipe guy. I don't think I ever really cooked the same thing twice, to be honest.
That's fair.
Yeah, we're pretty similar.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I want to get out and do some tuna fishing. The tuna fishing has been pretty awesome. I haven't gone out yet. It's a bit more of a thing, and it's a bit above my pay grade as far as boat and rods and reels and stuff, but not really. It's just another animal. But recipes, man, it's more just just cooking seasonally and having the garden and herbs are awesome. And we get some pretty cool mushrooms here too. Sometimes we get some good chicken of the wood and hen of the wood. A lot of oyster mushrooms, some chanterelles, but you got to go in. You go inland, it gets a bit better for certain things. The coast kind of. Certain things do well, but great chicken and hen of the wood. But recipes, man, I built a walk-in fridge, which has been really great for just about everything we've been talking about, and especially with fish. I really have been enjoying like just hanging them for a little bit, like them a little while, and the results are pretty awesome.
Yeah, We've been talking we've been dancing around the topic of like dry aging fish for a while. And then we've got dry age fish guys coming on here in a couple. So off Instagram, he's got
that whole unit's dialed in, right? You can probably can control airflow and humidity. I'm sure it's awesome. And I know a couple buddies that use them, and they look great, right? Well, he's out of like San Diego or San Francisco.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, somewhere on the West Coast. But yeah, we're going to get him on the show and chat sort of about the whole process because it's so fascinating too.
Well, it is, but it's just like all the beef you get, unless like you're doing it yourself and not doing it for some reason. Like everything's like hung for a little bit, Mm-hmm. And it's just really the treatment of the fish has been the biggest takeaway for me. Like catching them is the easy part. It's just like shooting a deer. Like and again, it's got its challenges, and it's just a cliche saying. But like killing things are easy, right? Like it's what you do after with it and how you treat it is what really I think is going to affect the outcome the most in the quality and that fish, especially, right? Like I don't even like putting them on ice anymore. I mean, I know it's like splitting hairs, but like I just put them on ice packs and I bleed them on the boat and kill them quick. And, you can even go down that Ikejimi world with certain species and stuff, but just getting that blood out, getting them cold. And I find the hanging, I scale them in the salt water. I do everything right on the boat so that when I get home, that thing is not in fresh water. It's not been sitting in fresh water, which again, the cavity's closed, I guess, and the skin, blah, blah. But like, you can even see the color. And this is, again, just me nerding out. But if you take something that's very sensitive and beautiful, like a mackerel, right? Like an Atlantic mackerel. It's like it's a beautiful fish. Mm-hmm. Put it on an ice. You put it in ice, and that thing starts turning or mahi. Put that thing on ice, it starts getting like real, like it starts turning brown and weird and beige, but I've noticed if you just put it in, like if you put it on ice packs, would say, and this is really geeking out, but like with a little towel or a little thing in between there, they maintain that color significantly more, which I thought is pretty cool. And it makes sense. I mean, they don't live in fresh water, right? Nothing about a saltwater fish is going to do well with fish. I see people filleting fish and then, hosing them down and shit and rinsing them, and it's just, it's not the move, right? I don't think that thing should ever you watch a sushi guy cut. He's always wiping his blade, clean. He never putting it on a dirty cutting board. I see some of his videos of these guys, man, and like they fillet fish better than me. I'm not gonna, but like they're doing it on this cutting board, and it looks like someone pooped on it. Like it's horrible, and they're just washing it down with fresh water, and it's just like, so that's for my biggest takeaway. If we're gonna talk, this isn't a recipe at all, but like, is food treatment, especially with fish and wild game, when you're processing yourself. It's such an awesome privilege and beautiful thing to be able to get into harvesting your own meat. But I can't stress enough, and I'm still learning, and I'm grateful to have people teach me. And a lot of it is just common sense. Once you kind of understand it, is just the treatment of it. And, and going back to the dry aging of the fish, just like letting that rigor mortis fall and letting some moisture kind of wick off and drainage. And it's just, it's freaking awesome. And I cook this striped bass, man, and I break it down where I just fillet it and I separate the collars and the bellies. and I cook them kind of separately. But like the bellies, it's all unbelievable. For like 5-6 days, it's kind of the sweet spot. I've gone 2 weeks, but it doesn't really. It's like a little chart, you know, and it starts to go down a little bit, I think. But that like 5-6 day spot, man, the belly and the collars and the meat for that matter, but just the belly and the collars, it's like crab meat. It's so good. People, and it's like, it's as white as like this paper, you know, like getting that blood out and letting it relax and letting it kind of drain. It's as white as like black sea bass. It's, you know what I mean? It's awesome. And I've been doing it with all fish. The tog I catch, which is a fun one to catch, or spearfish. And that's and just having that meat relax and just everything kind of just seems to get. I don't see a negative side from it. I mean, you think about it. You go, even if you got a good fishmonger by you, and you live by the coast like me. A couple great ones, right? Shout out to Seawell. I use all the time. But even if you go get that fish from them, it's still a couple days old, probably. Mm-hmm. There's day boat things, and I'm sure some folks are getting stuff in if you're on there at the right date. And that's like the delivery. But like, let's face it, like swordfish, tuna, all them fish, they can sit around for a little bit. And especially, I mean, them fish will sit around on a commercial boat for a couple of days, sitting in the ice tank things, whatever the hell they're called.
Depends on what part of the world you're getting it from too, because it could be weeks.
Kidding, man, that's a whole other topic of conversation. I mean, I'm talking local.
Yeah.
The best you can get is still often days old, right? Mm-hmm. And probably stacked like this inside some like box underneath the hole there, you know, whatever the hell, you know, and holding what do they call them on boats? Where you,
fish hold.
Yeah, fish hold. There you go. And stacked on, you know, weight on weight on weight, probably getting thrown around. You know, mm-hmm. They're not bleeding them. That's for damn sure. The guts are in there. They're just sitting there festering and probably suffocating is how they're dying in fish slime, you know what I mean? And that's like the best you can get sometimes, you know, like, and like that's fine, it's good, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You can really like get into the control of it and do the whole process yourself. It's really awesome how much you can kind of geek out on it.
And that's often where people, you know, like, oh, that fish is too fishy, this meat is too gamey, this like it comes down to all those controls that you have as a meat yourself. Yeah, it's
the handling of the fish. Yeah. Like fish meat doesn't really have that bad of a fishy odor. Fish blood smells like hell, and when it starts to coagulate, and if it's in you can even see it, the little capillaries and little mini veins. If it's in there, sometimes it'll still be loaded with blood, and that stuff does smell. Like fish blood is not nice.
No, I remember having. It was like tuna or something. We were on a day boat in San Diego a long, long time ago, and went out, and the guy just like was filleting our fish like as we're coming in, like filleting it and then chunking it in like basically a bag, and it was just like they didn't take the bloodline out of it, didn't do any of it, and like we got home and like everybody within the first day was like, this is terrible, like why did we spend all this money to go out on this boat to have the fish? And I was like, we should have done it ourselves, we should have filleted the fish ourselves. Like I don't know why we let this guy, like he's smoking a cigarette, filleting fish at the same time, and I'm like, ugh.
He doesn't give a shit.
No.
And he doesn't know any better, you know what I mean? Even if he does, he probably doesn't care. And but you're right. You take thousands of dollars of this amazing resource. I mean, you're probably catching yellowfin or bluefin out there or something, right? Mm-hmm. And then turn it into a bag of dog shit, you know, real quick.
Yeah.
Same with shooting a turkey or catch these fish and it's 70, 80, 90 degrees out and it's fun. You're catching fish. Everyone's wow, you know, but you got them laying on the deck in the sun baking. You know what I mean? Like I really like fishing. I really, really like it, but I like eating what I catch for the most part. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think I'm ever really going to go like on a tarpon trip or something, like, you know what I mean? Like I'd rather go like catch like some redfish or like some different species of or a swordfish or something, you know?
Yeah. I'd rather catch a big mess of panfish than catch a fish that I'm not allowed to eat. Yeah. Even if it's not quite as exciting.
$1,000.
Yeah. That's wild. But speaking of, not catch and release. You're recently getting spearfishing, kind of over the last few years. How's that? How did that journey start, and sort of how's it going? I dabbled in it myself as well.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, I'm nothing crazy. A couple deep water things out here with my buddy Vin, where we go and shoot some mahi at like these like high flying crab pots, string ups, right? And there's just some structure out there. You go offshore here a bit. A lot of people, I mean, if you fish, you know it, but like you go offshore and you hit that not Delaware Water Gap. You hit the Gulf Stream, and that water turns like tropical, right? It's warmer, it's deep as hell, and it's like blue, right? And visibility is like incredible, and it's scary. I mean, so you jump in, and one of the first things I think I ever spearfished was mahi successfully, and it was in like 400 feet of water, and it's just like any minute you turn around, there could be like a 14-foot hammerhead, or a fresh shark. Like deep water stuff is scary, but guys do it, man. I never done the tuna yet. I got the rig. I'm into it. I got to get hooked up with the right people. I've had some opportunities, but it's a commitment. But inshore, man, is a lot of fun. There's a bunch of there's a few seasons in the spring and in the fall for tog or blackfish, people call them. You can shoot striped bass. I guess I never done it. Mostly just the tog around here. They're freaking awesome. They're so good eating, and it's not real deep water. And it's awesome.
I was watching the local legends you did with Maddie, where you guys were spearfishing, and I see you guys are like in some pretty turbulent current water. Is that normally where you're at fishing for tog?
No, I mean well, we had one day to do that. We didn't do too much spearfishing. Me and Maddie that day. Maddie didn't go spearfishing at all. We can say on a realistic note. But we got the big man in a suit, which was a challenge and a half. But the local legend was this dude, Charlie, I know, Charlie Nutting, and that's his area up in Boston. And hindsight, man, I should have just shot it down here in my waters with but what it was, where we went was definitely the habitat, and Charlie knows how to get them. But we got lucky we were lucky it wasn't pouring that day. It rained for days before, days after. And the window we got lucky that it was just, we could go on the boat and it wasn't raining, but the visibility was. Oh,
I imagine after the rain.
And it was pretty choppy. We were all, no one got a tog. And it's like every time I go out, I get my limit for the most part. You know what I mean? And so it's Charlie. Charlie knows how to get them things. They were just holed up, or they went out deeper with the storm. They were probably just holed up in them rocks, and you probably couldn't even see them until soon. I'd have to be this close, and then they're already in the rocks. They just like that structure. Yeah. And you can go shoot them in the face sometimes when they're holed up, but the visibility was so bad. I didn't even see a tog. The camera guy saw one, but we got some lobsters, which was awesome. And Charlie shot some cunners, which were delicious. A little happy accident there. And it worked out. But yeah, I wish, man, glad we could do it. But right conditions, I probably could have we all would have got fish. And we might have even got big man to pull the trigger at something.
It's hard, man, especially too, like if it's new, like thinking to like Maddie's perspective, like the water's already intimidating, but like low vis water and like high current, you're like, fuck no.
Oh, we almost killed him. Listen to this. Well, he's a big fucker, right? And he lost a bunch of weight now, but we got him in there, and we had to connect 2 dive belts to get it around him. And we had all the lead on it. We had to get a decent amount of lead on the big boy to try to get him down too, right? So he jumps off the tuna door out the back. We're on this beautiful boat, the Cora, with this guy Andrew, and beautiful boat. And we kick his ass out the tuna door, and he just goes in like this, plunk, and the belts fall right off his waist and wrap around his feet. So he's like, big man ain't the strongest swimmer. So now he's like bobbing, and his head's just like, and like we had to dive down and get the belt off his feet. For a split 10 seconds, I thought oh my God, are we going to kill Maddie?
Don't do that.
One way to get views.
Yeah. That dish you made after with him has been haunting my dreams ever since I watched that.
It was one of the best things I think the both of us have made or ate in a while.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was so good. We just made a nice soup and a broth. And this old timer dropped off these really awesome scallops that he was diving for, that he got, sea scallops. scuba diving. I don't really mess with the scuba, but he brought over these beautiful scallops, and we just made. And we were catching Jonah crab, and it was just we made a feast with it. It was delicious.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah.
Tune in next week, making it. Me and the big man we're gonna cook up our bounty, and it's awesome, man. But the spearfishing, I love it. Right now, I think tog season's still open. I'm dying to. I love diving for them freaking things. They're just so good, and they're fun, you know. And they get in. It's like hunting, you know. It's like it's not this open water thing, which is like its own thing, but like you dive down 15 feet, and then on these rocks, and all of a sudden the water gets real clear, and it's quiet, and there's all these different colors, and you're in another world. You might as well be on another planet, and you're going around and you're looking, and you come around this big rock, and you're on these big like break walls and jetties and stuff like that, and natural rocks and stuff. And you come around this one thing, and all of a sudden there's this big thing looking at you, and they look like they have like white mouths. Their chins are kind of white, and they have these teeth like this. They just eat crabs and stuff like that. And you go in there, man, and you just pop them, and they scurry around, and you bring them up, and it's a blast. And like there isn't really too much to worry about. Sometimes you see a seal. My buddy, the one time they can scare everything scares the shit out of you in the ocean. You know,
yeah.
You're so soft and vulnerable, and you can't breathe, and we're not really that good at swimming. And I look like I got a suit on with fins. Like it's everything about it's a little sketchy, but it's one of my favorite things. It really is. Like I don't need to go to space, man. Just go dive under the ocean.
I was out, so I used to live in the Florida Keys and spearfished a good amount of there. And I was out my last sharky. Super sharky. I was out my last dive with my buddy Craig, who's like phenomenal. He's like a waterman and a land guy. Like we were up hunting in Colorado one time, and he's like, "See those mountains over there? We're like up probably 11,000 feet hunting elk." And I was like, "Yeah, like this range that's probably like 4 miles around behind us." He's like, "Yeah, I spent a week up here just like hiking, camping in those, like with my tarp and some freeze dried food." I'm like, "Dude, you're insane, man." But we were spearfishing down there, and it was the last one. We were looking for lionfish for BHA, Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, like fundraising dinner, and we'd done okay that day. We went back in close to shore. It was a little murky, and he's like, "There's this one spot I know there's like a ton of lionfish here. I always end up shooting one." And I was like, "Cool, like let's dive it." So we're diving.
I get pole spear.
Guns, but I get kind of uncomfortable in murky water for sure, especially like.
Bull sharks, dude.
Yeah.
I like living too, Justin.
Yeah. So we're cruising along, and like, you know, even just to what you're saying, like everything startles you. And like, so this nurse shark just like giant, like 8-foot long nurse shark, which they don't mess with you, comes like underneath us. And I'm like, holy smokes. And Craig, being the waterman that he is all like, ha ha ha. He rides down, like touches it back, swims along with it. And I'm like swimming, watching this. And I was like, this is insane. And then he like comes back up, and this Spanish mackerel comes across us. And I'm like, all right, we're going to get a mackerel out of this trip. And like, I line up, and as I'm like coming across with my gun, I see like a bull shark come out of the mist, and I'm like, oh man. And I'm like trying to get Craig's attention without like thrashing around. And I'm just like, dude, this is insane. And I like pop up and look my head up. You know, the bull shark kind of startles and kind of goes off, but I'm like, I'm not a fan of this. And so we have probably like 100-yard swim back to the boat. And I was just like, I'm trying not to swim fast and thrash, but I just want to get out of this water as fast as I can. And then we get back.
Scared, but you're shitting.
Oh, yeah, totally. And we get back to the boat, and like I jump on, throw my gun up. I'm up there, and I'm like looking for Craig to grab his gun, and all I see is bubbles. And I'm like,
Craig's dead.
Craig's dead. And then Craig comes up with like this probably 12-inch long like lionfish. He's like, on my way swimming back, I saw this lionfish and just dove down and got it. I was like, Craig, we were just running from a shark. He's like, yeah, man, you said you needed some lionfish. Like, this is important. And I was like, oh, dude.
I mean, you get to know that. I mean, bull sharks are sketchy as hell.
Yeah.
You guys keep that Florida diving. It's like bull sharks are just like, they're like freaking pigeons down there. They're everywhere, though. But, you know, I don't know. You can't be paranoid or scared, right? You just got to kind of be. Oh, I mean, easy to say, right? Until everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? Isn't that what Tyson said or something?
Yep.
I think that applies to this. But, you know, from what I got a couple friends that are badasses, and I mean, we could certainly say professional. And There is, and again, this is just from experience, and they can say it calmly. Hard for me to say how I would react. I'd like to try to believe that I would try to stay calm, but they're like, don't act like bait, man. Don't like freak out and give stress signals and look like a big hurt fish or something, like sharks are bullies and just predators, like be a predator.
Yeah. They're hungry. Just looking for the meal.
Yeah. Easy said though, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll ask a question. This is for those that are still tuning in as far as, what's your favorite target species spearfishing? I think I know the answer based on our conversation, but we used it for that giveaway code.
Yeah, right now, I mean, for sure, I'd have to say that tog or blackfish up here. It's basically what I do, and it's awesome, and they're good eating, and yeah, I'd have to go with that. But I could see really liking like shooting a tuna.
Mm-hmm.
I got the stuff for it. I had the opportunity one time. I was so sick. I was like, I'm not going. I was puking, and I don't know. I get seasick sometimes, right? And like, you're 60 miles offshore or something, and like we're catching tuna, and the opportunity to dive in. My buddy was like, all right, I'm going to do it, and he did dive, and it would have been my first time trying to shoot a tuna, and maybe I would have snapped out of it in the water. Maybe it's what but I like something in my brain was like, dude, you're not on your A game, like. Shooting tuna is an A game fucking thing. Like you can this is like people you can you can die doing this shit. You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden you got a hose wrapped. I don't know. I mean, so like if I'm going to be jumping in shooting tuna for the first time, I want to like not be fucking puking in my snorkel.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. I've dove with
man.
I've dove with guys that've been so hungover and they're just like they spend like 5 minutes in water and you see it like. And you're like, ooh, stay away from me. And then they like climb back on the boat and lay for the rest of the day. I'm like, ugh.
What's the most valuable thing in the world? Being able to fish with your family and friends. Exactly. And what's the second most valuable thing? Time. Managing and worrying about body odor used to take up a lot of my time. I was paranoid about smelling, especially around midday. It was all extremely time consuming. But not anymore. Since I switched to Mando whole body deodorant, I've freed up so much time. I've been able to teach my son and his friends how to fish, and I've even mastered some new fly fishing techniques. Yeah, it's that effective and long-lasting. Here's why. Mando doesn't cover up odor after the fact with heavy fragrances, like certain other deodorants. It stops odor at the source by blocking the bacteria on your skin from eating your sweat, which is the actual cause of BO. What does this mean? It means Mando is clinically proven to control odor for up to 72 hours. That's a long time. So give yourself the precious gift of time and get yourself some Mando whole body deodorant. New customers get $5 off Mando's best-selling starter pack with code WAYPOINT at shopmando.com. What I like most about Mando is that it's American-made. Mando whole body deodorant is powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to use everywhere without any worry because Mando is aluminum-free and baking soda-free. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount code to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code WAYPOINT at shopmando.com. shopmando.com.
This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday. And you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with Multiview, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action, make your Sundays more magical. And also, YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games. Excludes digital-only games.
All right, so want to change gears a little bit and talk about your cookbook some. So field notes for food adventure. It's I mean, I have it, obviously. I have a couple copies here. We actually, I think, yeah, Adam's got it as well. So what was sort of your motivation behind it? What kind of brought this book out of you?
I think, it was a good opportunity to do one, as well as I liked the idea of making something that wasn't consumed on a computer or an iPhone. Something cool about a physical book. Like, I don't know, I barely graduated high school. I never thought I was going to write a book. I mean, not that it's like a novel, but there's a lot of words in it, and I wrote them, so I think it counts. And it's a cookbook and a story and a travel book, and it's nothing groundbreaking or ever, but like every chapter is a different focus and location, which was really cool and fun to make, but certainly was harder than just making, I think, a cookbook. Like if I just wrote recipes and then blocked off a studio and prop stylist and this and that and a food stylist and just shot everything in 2 weeks or something like that. I mean, it's stressful and hard and art, but like we had to do that like 12 times, and it was made it a bit limiting and challenging, especially for me and my photographer. It was a good friend of mine, Pat O'Malley. And he didn't shoot food, but like that wasn't his thing. He was more of like a studio still, much more like controlled scene type of, a little artsy fartsy guy, but I wanted to make it with him because I like his photography, and he's a good friend, and we could travel together, and like so each chapter brought us throughout. It was like New Jersey to Maine, basically. Obviously, we missed skipped a lot of things, but it would go into different areas and focusing on a different ingredient or activity, and then kind of fleshing the chapter out around that. I still like that concept. I think it's a lot of fun. I wish if I were to do that again, that style, the only thing I would do is also make a whole video series about it too. Like, we didn't film anything, which is crazy, considering that's like what I do.
Yeah, it's I think about it too, especially a lot of and this came up, I think, when we had Jesse Griffiths back a couple months ago talk about the turkey book. About that is like, even with wild food too, like you mentioned, you can go to the store, you can buy the ingredients, you can book a studio, you can shoot a cookbook in like 2 weeks, and like you could be done. Great, challenging, creative, awesome. I think the element of wild food and the combination of travel and different places adds like a factor that can be sort of, one, you're limited in the amount of ingredients you can get on hand, which becomes a challenge too. Yeah.
Maple syrup is like the most fickle thing in the world, turns out, right? Like, so
yeah.
Shooting around that and getting Airbnbs and film and video crew together, and it was a lot of work, but it was awesome, and I'm super glad I did it. And again, I still do it, and now the same kind of format of things, but it's just video. It's basically local legends for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Which is awesome, because I really like doing that, and it's been a really awesome ride and learning experience. And now I'm just super stoked to be able to do it on my own. Working with Bon Appetit was awesome, and it opened a lot of doors. But it's cool to be able to kind of run your own thing and work with companies the way you want to work with them.
No, it's great. What do you think? There's like one message that you wanted to get across from the book that you want everybody to sort of take away from it?
No. Nope. I guess it would be, you're probably a better cook than you let yourself be. I don't know. Like, it's, people, it's in your DNA. People have been doing it for a very long time, and it's not, a couple simple inspirations or, techniques. You can really start to kind of mess around and do whatever you want. I mean, bacon's one thing, and like certain things are really, but like cooking a chicken or some fish, or don't overthink it, man. It ain't just cooking something.
Yeah. No, I think too. I mean, we talk about it a lot, right? Like, get outside your comfort zone. There's a lot to be done, and like even cooking, like most mistakes are still edible. Yeah. So.
Hell, I hammered some things, and like horrible. And but like you learn. That's how you learn. It's just like anything. You got to do it a bunch, and then it turns into just kind of an intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not. Maybe you'll be a bad cook forever.
Adam, you got any questions?
No, I think I'm okay right now. I didn't have anything prepared for this.
How'd you guys like? I love Jesse. You brought up Jesse Griffin's book.
Yeah. He's
awesome guy. Him and Jody. I love how they make books. I like how they make their own books. And just that was just an awesome book. I was fortunate he was up here. He did that turkey hunting chapter right up by me here and go hunting with him. But it was like, man, it still stings to this day because like we brought him to some. We really had to work for those birds, man. Like everything, like I don't know. It was so birdy the week before. There must have been some coyotes that came through or some shit and busted them out or something because I thought we were gonna just be like meleeing doubles on some big longbeards, holding them in the book and stuff. I thought we were gonna whack them, and man, like we had to really work them and really like my buddy Vin, who was a part of it, they got into this one spot that like he grew up around here and he's a really good turkey hunter and just like outdoorsman, and he knows all these spots. I think he brought him to some of his like deep pocket honey holes, and like I think they really had to work for the bird. Everyone did. We only got one bird in like 3 days, and we were like holding spots like that. We had like hunting rights. Like no, they weren't being like pressured or nothing. I think it was those goddamn coyotes, which I love. I love coyotes. They're one of my favorites.
It's wild like how quickly those birds will move out. I was hunting a spot this last spring in Colorado right before I moved, and it's a spot I go to. I see birds every time I've gone there. It's funny because there's a fence that runs like the middle of the property, and like I'll sit up on one side of the fence one day and they walk down the other. Then I move the next day and sit down the other, and they come down the other, and I'm just like frustrated. But this year was my year. I was like, I found a crossroads. I'm going to sit at this gate at the fence and just leave the gate open, and then they're going to come down one side or the other, and we're going to get them. Hiked like
ambush those goddamn dinosaurs. I love turkey hunting, man. It's like my favorite.
I took my 4-year-old with me because he was like, you can't go without me. He like put his foot down. Cool. And I was like, all right, well, we have like a half mile to hike, like up this hill. Like, I think I carried him the whole way. His backpack, my shotgun, decoys, and him up the hill. And we got there to spot, and this is a piece of public land, state-owned land, and they had logged like the majority of it. But you couldn't see it from the road because once you got up and over the hill, it was just like, I don't know, probably like 30, 40 acres they had logged, and not even a gobble came out that day. And I was like, man, those birds moved on, man. Ugh.
Sounds like turkey hunting to me, man.
Yeah, right? So
awesome. It's the best. That's cool you got your kid to go out with you. I'm looking forward to getting the kids out pretty soon, too, with that. Maybe this spring. You ever do any fall turkey hunting?
I traditionally haven't as much because I'm normally like chasing big game, but I think probably this year, especially being on the East Coast and just the god awful amount of turkeys around here, I'll probably get out.
Yeah, I've never done it either. I like the spring, how it's kind of like elk hunting. You know what I mean? Like,
it's more interactive. It's funny, it's like we're elk or just like big angry turkeys. Just go, you get them to gobble.
It's a blast, man. That's one of I would love. That's something I would like to do. Is I got a cow elk one time doing this pretty cool hunt that I had with Yeti, and it was an awesome experience. But I would love to one day like get a big bull with the bow or something.
It's like it's so much work, man. I have yet to shoot an elk, and I spent 3 seasons in Colorado, like all over the state of Colorado hunting elk, and like my last season, I had to like hike in crazy amount of distance and like got in and saw like finally found my first herd, and there was like 2 spike bucks and spike bulls, and I was in the antler restricted area, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me, man. It's one of those things. You earn it. Yeah, you either
get super, super lucky or you definitely put your time in.
Yeah.
Hopefully both.
Yeah, hopefully both. So,
but you're right. You got to put your work in, right? I mean, I haven't done a bunch of elk hunting, but all that, any type of hunting, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
got to learn it, even just whitetail, right? Like around here, like last year, I should have got a really, really nice buck. You know, I should a couple times. One time I shot. I probably should have just shot. I was waiting for him to zig. He zagged. I should have just. You know, I tend to hunt like I always have a bow, and like I talk to like guys that are much more rifle hunters, and I tell them this story about this past season, and they're like, there was a little bit of like brush and like a little bit of like grassy stuff, and they're like, some guys are like, you probably should have just like shot through that with that rifle. It probably would have been just fine. But like I was like, oh, but if he just took it like what he usually does, I would have had a perfect shot, right? So I don't mind waiting and like getting, you know what I mean? Like the last thing I want to do is go wounding an animal.
Yeah.
So like if I gotta talk about it for 10 years, how I this or that, like whatever. But like I do believe in the hunting gods, and I think this year I'm going to be really rewarded.
I'm with you. There's like Adam talked about that dish sort of haunting him in a good way. I think I've had some shots, like bad shots, haunt me in a bad way of like, or maybe I didn't. And you play the like, I should have done this, I should have done that. Like if the deer would have done this, I would have done that. Like on repeat in my head, and I'm just like,
make it crazy until you get it. I missed the turkey like what was it, like 4 years ago, and it fucked me up all year. I was like. Because it was like I should have got it. Like I don't even know. I don't know. I don't even want to go down that road.
I made a shot. We were up in Wyoming. We were hunting mule deer up there, and I made probably like a 50-yard shot on a deer, which I knew was a good shot. I saw him go down. I saw him get up, and I tracked him. Like
talking gun.
Gun. Which was a weird shot for Wyoming to be 50 yards from a deer, but I came up this ridge and the deer were just standing there looking at me, and I was like, oh, like I tracked him for a ways. Like he bedded once, he ran, he bedded again, he ran, and I tracked him. Then we went back into town because he crossed into some private land and had to get permission. Like the warden called the landowner and all this stuff, and like the landowner let us go on, and I tracked him in this dry creek bed for a long, long time. And then like one last pool of blood, and there was nothing. And like that shot haunted me for that season all the way into the fall, to where like I was passing on game when I was out hunting. I was like, I'm not 100% sure about this shot. Like I'm not going to take it. But I think too, part of it was I was just still uncomfortable from like that experience of like, there's this deer running around, you know, that I shot, that I know I wounded, that's either lived through it or become coyote food, but I don't know either way. And it just like, it didn't sit well with me. So.
No, I know it hurts. It's like the worst. It's the worst, right? But I think every hunter's had the experience.
It's when it doesn't feel like the worst that it's problematic, I think.
Yeah, it's what you do with it, right? The fact that it bothers you.
Get better. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I'm past it now. I've resumed my shooting activities, so it's I'm good for it. But
yards chip shot, right?
Oh man, and that's the thing too. Like I don't want to go down it. I don't want to go
down
it.
I know. Single stars, right? Totally.
So we're coming up on time here. And I'm loving the conversation. But any other projects that you got going on that you'd like the listeners to know about, or us to dive into?
Yeah. Just the YouTube stuff, really, right now. Maybe a podcast coming in the near future. We'll see.
Sweet.
I love the structure, and I love podcasts, right? So I mean, everyone does, right? So I think there's something fun there. But yeah, for the most part, man, just the YouTube and Instagram and the social medias. But yeah, YouTube, Brad Leone. I think it's just YouTube at / Brad Leone, Leone.
Yeah, perfect. And then social media, same.
Yeah, you just Brad Leone, it'll pop up. You'll see my silly face.
Awesome. And we'd love to have you back on maybe in the fall, talk a little more foraging or some hunting and stuff too, if you're around always. And
let's do that. I want to talk about real quick this. It's okay. Is this beautiful? So I wanted to talk about a shotgun real quick because I kind of like I go through like little like peaks and valleys of like my interest in firearms. I mean, I've always liked them, but like I guess what I mean is like buying them. But recently I bought an old Remington 870, a pump shotgun, which is like one of my favorite shotguns. And it's got this like blonde walnut, and someone did all the metal in this like matte, like army green. And it's just I just absolutely, it's got a slug barrel and the bird barrel, and it's just an absolute beautiful firearm.
That's awesome.
I'm
trying to picture it in my head, but it sounds.
It's like the Magnum Express or Mag Express, you know, and it's just got that like the little circle, little round kind of like fluted like cylinder pump. And just they're usually always like a dark wood. I think it's really old. And like on like the pistol, it's not a pistol grip, but you know, like on the stock, it has that like. And on the bottom, there's like an engraved really nicely. It's like 167. I think it's an old like police gun.
Okay.
That someone redid. It's got a new trigger assembly, and it looks like I bought it used at like a gun shop. I just saw it, and it was like the most beautiful like duck and turkey like shotgun I ever seen. And I think I'm a big wood guy, and I think it was the blonde walnut on the green, on the matte green. Oh, it was pretty.
I'd love to see it.
Next time I'll bring it.
Yeah.
Next time we can all bring shotguns and talk about it.
Show them.
Oh, that's not weird, is it?
Nah.
Right.
So, well, sort of what we typically do at the close out of the show is just kind of give everybody a last chance for last thought or an alibi or anything. So, anything you want to leave the listeners with?
No, just have fun. Don't hurt nobody. And, things should be okay. Eat good food.
Yeah. Perfect. Adam?
I was just thinking back to our earlier conversation about the long form video and just long form everything, like creating a book for someone to sit down and read with. And that's something that seems to be disappearing quickly, but I recommend everyone get back into it. It's something really nice about just watching a whole cooking show. Your cooking shows, Brad, got me through COVID, all the fermentation stuff, just something to like sit and watch in long form and really soak up. And I think that's a bit of a dying art right now, and I recommend people attempt to get back into it, because like 30-second things are cool, but 30 minutes, you get a lot more out of it.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, I think the pendulum's swinging. I mean, I think people, I mean, you always hear people don't have attention spans, but they do. I mean, I think some of the biggest podcasts out there are super long. It's true. I mean, a good example is like the Joe Rogan one. Like, there's episodes I've listened to that are 3 hours long, and I'm like, well, I could have done another hour, you know? Like, and like millions of people do that. So listen to shows like that do that long format. So yeah, man, I don't think that's the case. I think it's just what people are making.
Yeah, that's true. I think too, maybe in the time, like, I was thinking about it the other day. You ride the bus, you look around, you ride the train, you look around, and like what's everybody doing? Like on their phone, like real quick, they're standing in line to drop a package off at the post office. You look around, like everybody's kind of on their phone. Like this, like micro consumption versus, you know, you think back a decade or 15, 20 years ago, and it's like, what did you do when you stood in line? You just stood there, like
yeah, you looked at people, you daydreamed, you talked to someone. I don't know, you know, like, but
read
for
the
sure,
Archie
I
cover.
guess a good sign off. And listen, I'm all for it. I love social media. I think it's a great tool if you use it that way. And it's my living, right? So like, I'm all about technology when it's used right. But I think we could all spend a little less time on our phones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair.
Unless you're watching my YouTube channel, then you can tell your friends. You can watch that for like an unhealthy amount of time. That's okay.
Nice. Well, thanks again, Brad, for coming on. I really appreciate the conversation. It's been awesome. Look forward to chatting again, hopefully soon in the fall. And then, thanks everybody for listening out there. We'll throw all the show notes on. We'll throw links in there. Everything we chatted about, we'll kind of detail out. And then head over to social media. If you aren't following Brad, give him a follow. And then over at Harvesting Nature and the Intrepid Eater too, as well. Make sure to tune in with us, because lots of cool stuff rolling out all the time. And then whatever podcast platform you're listening to, punch that 5-star button. Tell us we're doing right, or, tell us we're doing wrong. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.